And so businesses who are located in Reston to know, I think that this is in the mailboxes of, nearly 20,000 Restonians
Wow.
monthly. It's a
Right.
huge, it's a huge service to those businesses who want to be involved in that way.
Audio Jungle.
Hello and welcome to Business Focus, produced by the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce. My name is Angela Inzerillo with Impact Business Solutions, and I'm privileged to be your host as we highlight the great work our local businesses are doing in the community. Today, I am so thrilled to welcome Ms. Dawn Crosson from the Reston Letter, the owner and editor, here with us today to share how print media is not dead, folks. So let's talk about it. Dawn, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. This is very cool.
Very exciting. Yes, our new video podcast is new to the chamber. So yeah, if you're visiting for the first time, we'd love you to subscribe so you can hear all the exciting episodes that are coming up. So we do love to feature current members of the chamber that are doing great things, our nonprofits, our for-profit members, events that are happening. So, and Dawn, you're doing a little bit of that yourself. So let's hear about your story, because I love the story of Dawn Crosson,
Sure.
and school teacher, right? So yeah, how did you get to the Reston Letter?
Well, I'm a teacher, like you said. I'm an English teacher here locally, and I've done freelance journalism.
We need to know the details.
School.
There you go. Okay.
Reston, thank you, Reston, Virginia. So I've done freelance journalism in the past. I was, on my college newspaper staff, stuff like that, and then took over the journalism class. Well, started a journalism class over at Herndon and rose that from the dead. And what I really experienced over there was just the community coming together with this print thing, right? That the kids work together to produce, and they excitedly hand it out to people. The faculty coming together and getting to know. The kids would do things like interview faculty and, all this kind of stuff. The kids were getting great experience in covering the local, whatever was going on in the high school. And the physical part was really important to me. And I really saw how it brought everyone together. So it was actually, he denies it, but it was my husband's idea. Because I've lived in Reston for, I've 17 years or something like that. And, through having 3 boys and being involved in the schools, I have a lot of connections, a lot of people in different spaces. So he was like, you should start a Rest paper. I swear he'll deny this. He'll deny he said it, but he did. And so I went and I Googled one night
awesome.
how to start a newspaper. And one thing led to another.
Sorry, there's a lot of people out there going, yeah, I can relate to that. Whether it's a newspaper or a restaurant or some new business idea. So I love the fact that he got you started, even though he'll deny it.
Yep. It was him.
So how you started a newspaper, and then it just kind of gave you the first steps to it? Because it sounded like you were involved with it. So it wasn't like a big
and I had enough experience dealing with printers and kind of that process.
Sure.
With the software, having basically taught myself that as a teacher at the school. And so I had enough confidence, I think, in kind of how to run a newspaper, even though it was on a much smaller level than this one. So I had that kind of in my back pocket. And then I just had to find a printer. I had to figure out the postal service, how they deliver, how to get, unfortunately my printer knew all of that and he does all of that. So, so that was amazing. And I've learned trial and error. I've learned, along the way, and it's been a year and a half of printing, and it'll be 2 years since I started it in October. So,
well, like you said, you had the background. You had the background, and you were already kind of doing it, and you probably saw some level of acceptance by the students and excitement, like again, print media, what's going on in the area region, probably local to Reston and Herndon, you'd say. So who is it's called the Reston Letter. So who's it meant for? We'll talk more about like that, but really who is it meant for? Is it meant for the community, the businesses? Probably a combination, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's meant for anyone who lives in Reston, who, may be new to the area. There's that kind of niche, want to figure out how to get plugged in.
Sure.
It's also for people. One of the first emails I got after I started was from this guy who said, I've lived in Reston for 5 years and I learned more about Reston in like the 15 minutes I read your paper than I'd ever known about Reston in my 5 years. So that was really encouraging. And that's kind of, it's meant for people who live here or people who are going to move here or even people who used to and they want to feel nostalgic or like catch up on what's going on.
Of course.
But it is very, very Reston, very Reston centric. Anybody with any interest or any stake, I guess, in Reston. And,
well, also like people that come visit, if they're staying here, they visit a lot. We've got several big businesses that people are here probably for weeks at a time. So it's a great way to kind of get a pulse into what's happening. So talk about the flow of the paper, because I think you've got different sections and different themes. So how does that work? Sure. What is that a
has
term?
A good picture
In your
no, it's not a term.
Newsworthy.
But I guess maybe broader, and usually we want to have a good picture for it too. So something with a good picture. And I've got a drone photographer and I've got other photographers and they're fantastic. So we've got some good coverage, good pictures. We've got front page, which is kind of, basically the last thing we throw together. The most interesting or something. It really is the last thing usually that we figure out based on what's happening.
Of course.
So we've got the front page, then we've got a section I call the bulletin, which is community news, it's business features, it's just resident, features of different residents, because there are so many people with so many amazing stories here. And, we've done artists and authors and, teachers and just, like the person next door.
Yeah, the hidden gems, right? I'd say. Who's next door? Like the story that we need to tell, that you need to be telling. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yep. And so then also in the bulletin, any events that happened, a lot of people now send in press releases about different nonprofit events that have happened, and they've got pictures, things around the community that have happened that are of interest to just general people, to get out and, see this concert,
local.
that kind of.
What time period does it cover, Dawn? Is it a month? I forget. Okay, gotcha.
So it's we print the second week of every month.
So you're
yeah.
It's like when the podcasts come out. It's weekly for the most part. So so you're covering about a month's worth of news inside that period, and it might be like we are sometime in July printing probably ahead, maybe like a month or so. Okay.
Our deadline for each issue is the last day of the month before. But there's always timely things that we stick in at the very last minute. For example, the sports stuff. We'll tweak right before we send to the printer if we need to, the results of a game or whatever. But we try to get all the articles in by the last day of the month.
All right, so you're saying you got event stuff, and then what? The sports section? What's the next section? Yeah.
Yep, we've got sports that are the 2 local high schools, and then elementary schools. There's all these awesome things going on, drama and all the different clubs and activities and field trips and really cool stuff that I see as a teacher, but I don't think a lot of, people see. So we've got then the education section, which is what is, that's everything going on in the schools in the education section. And then the sports is also in the schools. So, but it'll be like a recap from a season, you know, picture of the year, whatever it is. And we've had some really great runs at the state title for South Lakes High School this year, and that's been really fun to cover. The basketball team won states, and then the baseball team came in second, but they had a great run too. So those are really fun, and we also cover youth sports too. Some of the baseball and basketball, and you know, the camps they have and things like that. We have a crossword puzzle every month that is made specifically for the Reston Letter by a Reston crossword puzzler he reached out to me, and he's now been doing it for almost a year. Every month he does one for us, and he's been published in the New York Times, the Washington Post. His puzzles have been all over, so he does these little mini ones. Yep, and that's really fun. And then we have a very short one-page opinion section. So we've got a local blogger who blogs in that, and then we've got a psychologist who writes a column there. And you know, we've done some of the more, we've written about casino thoughts, and you know, some of the hotter topics, the golf course thing. But for the most part, you know, in our mission statement, I want to stay very neutral, I guess, not get anything beyond the local. You know, I don't want to get political, I guess, other than just the super hyper local stuff. So that's the one opinions page. And then we've got lifestyle. So restaurant reviews, spotlights. We printed the pool schedule this month, which I'm not even kidding. I think I've looked at it 10 times in the last 2 weeks, because I've got my kids going to different pools, and you know, they all close 1 or 2 days a week. So you never know, unless you can remember perfectly which one's closed which days. So that's really funny. been great. Yeah. So yeah, those are the sections.
Yeah, you're covering everything. And by the way, it is you got a whole team behind you. So you've got a lot of people that are helping support Dawn. So you're editing, right? But you've got a team of writers and, like you said, columnists and crossword puzzles that you've got, which, by the way, who knows, new job title. So you've got a full team behind you. Is that something that's grown over the last year or so?
So many people.
Yeah.
So much. Yes. I printed my first issue, and I really do think back on them. Like, what was I thinking? You know, I had a couple people writing for me. I don't know what I had. I feel like I had no long-term plan, but
working on that.
Ever since that first issue, yeah, I am. Ever since that first issue, I have resumes being sent to me. I've got article ideas sent to me all the time. You know, so it's an army of volunteers for the most part, who just love Reston, you know, want to write. And, you know, I have people who are new to the area, specifically one woman who's new to the area, but her background is in community journalism.
Oh, nice.
She moved during COVID. And so this, for her, she's loved it, because it's been her way of, you know, figuring out, like, she met all the community theater people and interviewed different artists and learned about festivals and all this stuff that she didn't know about. It was in her, you know, just in her backyard, but she's been able to interview just tons of people.
And so I would imagine there's a lot of businesses around that want to, you know, that's their target audience. So I know you mentioned a lot of different sections for news, but what about like other advertising sections? I'd imagine you'd have advertisers too, right?
I don't have advertising sections. We stick ads in where we can, and that is the way it's funded, is through the advertisers. We've been really fortunate enough, I think, after, you know, building up kind of a reputation. We have, like, Reston Association now advertises with us every month, Reston Community Center, you know, people who are known, and it's great to feel trusted and, you know, by them. But yeah, we've got different size ads, we've got different package deals, you know, but that is how we're run, and we do depend completely on our advertisers. So businesses who are located in Reston to know, I think, that this is in the mailboxes of, you know, nearly 20,000 Restonians monthly. it's a huge service to those businesses who want to be involved in that way. And I always like to be sure people know it's in mailboxes, not like in your wet lawn or on your driveway, right? Like it's in your mailbox. It matters, and it's
so you said it's distributed, but also you have certain locations people could pick them up if they're not getting it.
Yes. Right. Yes, because we haven't reached all mailboxes in Reston yet. We're about 3/4 of the way through. But yes, we have them, and you can go to our website, our brand new website that just launched today. I'm so excited.
Congratulations. That's a huge feat. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's awesome. But we do have, there's 3 community centers in Reston, and we leave copies at all of those. We leave copies at the library, the YMCA, a couple different restaurants and bookstores. And we also have, I've got another army of other volunteers who deliver to, like, we hand deliver to a lot of businesses too, just one, to a bunch of businesses. So there's that too. That's a benefit for the advertisers.
The Reston Chamber.
You never know who will go get their nails done and see that.
We love it. We get so many people coming through the door, so we love to pick that up. And you said Dawn's Army, I'm going to call it. The people are out there. And if you don't have it, I think I subscribe. Awesome. So you go online and you can subscribe too, right? Okay.
Right. There's an e-route, we call it. Yes.
Very good.
We have an e-route.
And is there digital advertising too, or you have a digital paper? I know I looked at that.
Right. So we just, up until literally today, we put just the PDFs on the PDF of the whole file of the paper. So you can go in and look at it as if you were reading the paper, the layout of the paper. So the advertisers are on there. But with this new website, we are going to very soon figure out our policies and structure and all of that. But we will be selling ad space on the actual website, because now it'll be a unique URL for each article. So you can go just right to the one article you want to go to. And that's going to be huge, because people don't have to say, look at our feature on page 12, and you scroll all the way through. You might lose people in that. Yeah. So yeah, super excited about that.
There's no boundaries anymore these days. So even though you're covering Reston and it is committed to to this area, there are people that want to get in front of the people in front of Reston. So so that is really important to have that capability and ability. So you're doing really, really well. So you said 2 years in business.
It's
hard.
It'll be 2 years in, I think, September, October, when I filed for.
I mean, you get most of us that are watching. It's hard especially those first couple of years. So you're doing all the right things. You're making mistakes. You're learning. Right. And you're getting help and you're asking for help. And I think that's a lot of what maybe businesses don't do, because we're women, no offense against you men, but we women will raise our hand more often than men to say, hey, I need a little help right here. And then that's certainly something the community wants help with. The Reston Chamber absolutely does on membership. But, it's great to stand up and say, hey, I need this help. And people are willing to do that. So I'm.
Yeah. Another thing that I've been able to, kind of a pool I've been able to jump into, pull out of, is my former students, right? So I've got college kids who were my students, as well as some of my older students from many years ago. A couple of those who also work for me. But so I have these connections, people who just graduated in creative advertising, for example, or and people wanting to intern. We had 7 resumes for internships this summer.
Take all of them.
So we had to do 7 interviews. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think it would have been too much work for me to make up work for 7 people. And that's something I learned, because that's how I was when I first interviewed them. I'm like, oh, they're all fantastic. But then I started thinking about, I can't even delegate that work, and it's 2 months. It's a summer internship, So we hired 3 of them, and they're
fantastic.
Great.
So share this new website. I'm so excited for it today. I can't wait to look at it.
Yep. It's just the RestonLetter.com.
Check it out. This has been great. So, anything else we missed that you want to share?
Yeah. Well, I did want to say something about how people could be involved, and you had asked about how we get ideas too. I think I touched on that a little bit, but anybody who
Oh, okay.
has any idea, send them to us, because there are very, very infrequently are there bad ideas, and we're so flexible. I mean, we're writing story. There's going to be a story about a rock garden. Like there's stories about, the most, just things that show our community. And so, whatever idea you have, run it past us. Send press releases. I often will pick and choose and print some of those. But then if you want to get more tangibly, I guess, involved, if you like taking pictures, or writing, any kind of advertising or design, I've got a fantastic layout designer who I met, and she's just made a huge difference in everything. So there's lots of ways to get involved in that way. And if you're a bigger business, also we do like sales, like service swaps, right? So
sure.
Just publicity sharing. We're going to get our logo on SkateQuest, on the skating rink boards, which is, I'm a hockey mom, so that's super exciting for me.
Nice.
That we'll have my logo there at the rink. And then we're going to run a front page deal for them. So it's just a swap. If money isn't really something that you've got, your marketing budget is used up or whatever, we can always do just a swap.
I love it. There you go.
I make
that's
the rules.
Girl.
So,
Absolutely. And you're right. It is all about community. People love to give back.
So.
Organizations, especially the bigger businesses, they got money. Give her money. Mm-hmm. But I do agree that kind of swap is good. You're doing for the good of the community, and it's just going to work. It's going to work really, really well. So, yeah. Well, again, Dawn, congrats on the success, and you're only going upwards. Look forward to, seeing you again soon, and maybe getting an article in there soon. We'll have to talk about some options. Yeah. I like it.
Business feature.
So I hope to see you soon. And my pleasure.
Right.
And that's a wrap. I just wanted to say thank you for staying tuned and listening to our podcast. And hopefully you'll continue to subscribe, like, share, do all the things you're supposed to do, and let us know what you want to hear. And we'd be happy to entertain it. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Stay in touch with us for future episodes. Like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.